Welcome to the Dogish podcast.
Wow, that was really weird sounding.
Did I scare you with that one? Listen,
Yeah.
I'm trying to mix it up, Jason, for our listeners who subscribe and are here every week with us. This is, of course, the Dogish podcast, the only podcast dedicated to dog parents and the topics, events, and personalities that are impacting their lives. My name is Sylvia West, certified dog trainer, dog mom, pet expert at Dog Up in This Bitch. With me, as always,
My name is Jason Arias, co-founder of Forever USA, a dog photography experience for you and the dog who stole your heart. How are you today?
Yes, you know what, Jason? I'm pretty pumped for this next guest. She is also a podcaster. She is
She's
an
like
amazing
a big time podcaster.
She's like major. I was
like
a
we're
little
celebrating this is going to be our 20th episode, I believe, and she's at 153 or 54 episodes.
We may, which when we recorded this, who knows where she's at now that this has come out,
Right.
but we may have blabbered on quite a bit about pet organs. So I guess explicit warning for the first part of our podcast.
And then we went on for a long time about just the love of accepting like families and our fur kids. Like
it's a great,
it was
fun time.
It was amazing all over the place, and lots we talked about.
Let's get into it with Tori Mistik of Wear Wag Repeat.
Thank you. Hello.
We're so excited to have you. You're so fun. I mean, I don't know you personally, but I feel
you
like
don't know yet. Wait until after the hour, then you can say.
Stop.
We're not going to air that one. Not fun enough. I kid. So how are things, Tori? Like, you enjoying your day? You're located in Pittsburgh. I think that's what we picked up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Pittsburgh, so we're having a very relaxing Saturday here. Took the dogs for a little walk and came home and realized I had defrosted pig's feet for them. So I was going to give them a Kong, but instead they got some tasty pig's feet. So
Yum.
yeah, so they're pooped out. Like, it's amazing how tiring that is, just chomping
Just
away.
a little pig foot.
Yeah.
Just hanging out in there. You know what I recently got that you might enjoy, Tori? There is a farm in Idaho from which you can order ostrich bones and necks.
Ooh.
Oh, that's right.
that
You were
are-
supposed to send me a picture of that. You said it was kind of strange.
It's horrifying, so I'd rather not photograph it.
Sweet.
But
That's how the pig's feet are. I don't touch them. I go outside, I open the box, I pour them out. They're wrapped in like wax paper or something, and then I just grab the corner of the wax paper and unravel it and let the dogs grab it themselves. I can't touch it. So
yeah, the ostrich necks are quite interesting because, I mean, if you can imagine, an ostrich neck is, about yay round and very long. So the steak is like yay round and it has a tiny like spinal bone, and it's terrifying. And it's like a steak like
graphic.
this. It's like I opened it. I don't know what I was expecting when I ordered it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, ostrich neck. And then I opened it and I was like, oh God, ostrich.
it's nothing like a duck neck, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because we've bought duck necks and that kind of stuff, and they're just like a
Well,
skinny
I
little
just
shriveled up
feel
thing.
like this is off to a fantastic start.
What?
We're talking about some dead animals.
Let's talk about some organs and animal parts.
I mean, this is when you know you're sitting in a podcast with like 3 pet parents, because as grossed out as we all are, we're totally unfazed. Like, yeah, the other day I went to the store and just bought my dog some beef heart.
I know.
Things
I
I never thought
actually-
I'd say.
I've been joking with my dog friends, like my hardcore dog friends, like you guys, that I'm like, we sound like Hannibal Lecter. Like, people are like, can I give your dog a treat? And you're like, well, is it liver or heart?
Is it organic organ meat? Because otherwise, I don't know.
What
I
kind
have
of
him on an
beans does this come with?
exclusive ostrich diet right now.
Fava beans.
Oh my goodness. I mean, seriously. We might even be a little too bougie for Jason. He's like, what? What?
Oh, this whole thing's been a learning experience. If a podcast goes by that I don't learn something that is just totally outside of my realm, then it wasn't the right podcast.
Well, now you know
Now
about
I know.
ostrich neck.
Now I need to go get some ostrich neck and
pig's
for the
feet.
dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The duck feet are terrifying to me. The freeze-dried ones.
Yeah.
Have you seen, Jason, you've seen those at the pet store. Come on now.
No, I don't think I dig in the freezer aisle looking for that stuff.
No, they're usually in the dry bar.
I
Yeah.
don't know. For some reason, I've never noticed it.
It's like a little foot and it's like all webbed. So creepy.
Once you notice it, you can't unsee it.
You can't
so-
unsee
I
them.
gotta go find them.
All I see now are the duck's feet and the chicken feet right there. They're right by the cash
I'm gonna
register
go get
usually.
some.
What is
I'm gonna go
that?
get some. They're gonna love them.
Like, also, why are you throwing
Your
it in my
dogs will love
face?
them.
I
Mhm.
feel like I'm being very accosted by the pet food stores for they're just like, look, feet. Like, it's very odd. Why are they right in my face when I'm checking out?
It should be
Hide them
like a
in the
back
back.
room.
Thank you. Like a door labeled very
Yeah.
scary animal parts
So-
that your
Yeah.
dog will love
So I have
To
room.
go to the adults only section of the pet
Yes.
store.
There's like a red velvet curtain that you peel back. It's all dingily lit. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Tell
that's
us,
hilarious.
tell us more, Sylvia, about this creepy back room.
I'm just saying,
that
if I was
red
designing a
velvet
pet food
curtain.
store, if I was designing a pet food store, that is where I would keep the organs and the other parts of the animals. I mean, also, like, it might even sell better because exclusivity sells. So if people feel like it's this very taboo thing, I'm just from a marketing standpoint
Yeah.
now, this is where my business
If
mind
it's
goes,
like
okay,
forbidden behind the curtain.
Tori, you know
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
I'm there with you.
Thank you.
So I have a
Thank-
question, Tori. Like, you have your own podcast. Have you ever, let alone launched a podcast, have you discussed dead animal parts on your podcast at all?
Of course.
Oh, sorry.
She's a dog mom, Jason. Come on.
Duh. Like, we have a whole segment that's just towards that.
Well, no, I've interviewed, because on my podcast, I interview women in the pet industry all over, like all different kind of facets of the pet industry. So I've had two different women on who both have like dried chew companies, where they sustainably source from like little farmers who are like, I don't know what to do with all these chicken feet. And they're like, I'll take them off your hands and
No
dry them
problem.
out and sell them to all the dog people. So I've had a couple people on my show who that's what they do for a living.
Wow.
That's fun. Okay. This is a good place to take a break. We will. We're back.
Okay, so we're coming back from our quick break. And like we briefly brought up, you have a podcast, and you don't just talk about animal
Brushed over
parts,
that.
right? There's other things that you talk about. What are some of the other things that you spend a lot of time talking about on? What's the name of your podcast again?
Yeah, sure. So it's called the Wear Wag Repeat podcast. It's
Wear,
the
like,
same name.
How do you spell where on this one?
WEAR.
There you go.
So that's the name of my blog. And just to kind of tell you why it's named that, when I first started my blog, it was to document my two loves of style and dogs. Now, especially during the pandemic, the style has gone way out the window. It's just all dogs now. But
Sweatpants and dogs.
that's how it started. That's why it's Wear Wag Repeat. So on my podcast, and I have like over 150 episodes now at this point.
Yeah, I think
and
I saw like 154.
Yeah,
I
it's a
felt
lot of
very
episodes.
intimidated.
We're
Don't.
like, we swear we know what we're doing.
And when I started it, I was like, I'm just going to interview cool, creative women who have dogs and do cool, creative things. And we'll just talk about what they do, and we'll talk about dogs. And then how it kind of evolved naturally, I ended up finding so many interesting women, specifically in the pet industry, who weren't just cool and creative, but they worked with dogs and had dogs, and other pets too, but mostly dogs. And so I talked to people who maybe launched a Kickstarter, and they tell me like all about what that was like, or someone who bakes treats or makes doggy frozen yogurt, and it's gotten picked up nationally in stores. Like, we talk about all kinds of things, about how to grow your pet industry business. But then we talk about business and dogs at the same time, because I think that's what people like.
Well, they go together so well.
They go together so well.
I mean, that was Sylvia and I've talked about it many times. The reason that this has been something that has really fulfilled us both in the photography and even now in the podcast, it's lighthearted and exciting and lots of opportunity, and
It's neutral.
it crosses so many boundaries as well between different mindsets, and like it's just a good and everybody loves having dogs in the office and at home. Like, that we can't have a studio dog because we have people bringing their dogs in
Right.
all the time. But I'll never forget the first time I told somebody, they said, oh, I got to go drop off, my dog at home. I said, you can just leave him here for the day, pick him up when your errands are done. Like, what other business can you get to say that than dog businesses?
Yeah, it's really cool. And there's just every time I'm interviewing someone, there's some kind of like analogy that just relates to business and to dogs. I was just talking to someone yesterday. She owns 6 grooming shops around Arizona, and she also has 6 chihuahuas. And
Are they all named after her chihuahua?
well, so I have 2 Labradors, and I love having 2 dogs. And so I was talking to her, I was like, with dogs, going from 1 to 2 is like a big jump, but then going from like 2 to 6, like, how does that relate from going to 1 to 2 grooming shops versus 1 to 6 grooming shops? And she's like, it's the same thing. Like going from 1 to 2 is hard, but then from there on, it's just like add another one in. And it's very much like that with dogs, I think, too.
Yeah, definitely. I love that analogy. And I think too, like the awesome thing about having a dog business is it's for everybody, because everybody, we here at the Dogish podcast really celebrate that human animal connection. Wow, I almost made up my own word, humanal. But that human animal bond, with our furry family members. And really, anytime you're in a dog business, you really are creating a safe, neutral space where everybody feels welcome, because the only thing that matters in that space is their love for dogs. And I personally think that no other animal is more deserving of our love, but I'm very biased. As my like Pomeranian just rests gently in my lap. Though I have to say, Jasen, so this is a new thing that my dog Hunter has been joining in the podcasting.
That's true. Yeah.
But I realize it's because this chair that I sit in for podcasting is his armchair.
Oh.
And so now I'm realizing like he doesn't actually want to spend time with me. He just wants his chair.
And
I'm in it. Yeah.
So you're 153, 154 episodes in on this journey now, that it started out as dog and style and has turned into kind of like a woman entrepreneurship in the dog related community.
Yeah, exactly.
How cool is that?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just been very cool. And I think that's one of the best things about working for yourself, and just like the current age that we're in with like technology. I can, when I first was doing my show, I did it all 100% myself. Now I outsource, a lot of the editing and stuff, because that's the time consuming part. But when I first started, I could just do it all myself. So there wasn't a lot of cost up front. And I could just kind of figure it out and just see where it goes. I'm not the greatest, like, I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't know where I'm going to be 5 years from now. So I just kind of like to play it by ear and see what happens. And that's exactly what's happened with my podcast and kind of like everything else that is Wear Wag Repeat.
We just got some great advice from they're not specifically with dogs, but it's we're working with a business mentor, and they've really put us on the direction of have a 3-year target, like have a direction like for 3 years, but everything else is 90-day sprints. And that really resonated with me. Was like, okay, have an idea of where you kind of want to go, but really your goals need to be like in the next 90 days, because I think it's completely obvious between the 3 of us. If you told me what my life was going to look like 3 months ago, that it was going to be like this, directions have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
And that's I think for me, that's one of the key indicators that things are going well, is that your stuff should be changing every 90 days. Your plans should be changing every 3 to 6 months and growing and moving. And so, yeah, having a 5-year plan is not for me either.
Plus, I feel like if you're educating yourself and you're like out there and you're reading and you're taking courses, which I know you have a new course that's coming out. Jasen has a new photography course that they're launching. Like, if you're the kind of person who's taking these courses and you're like out there and you're doing this, you are growing, you are evolving. So your goals, your business plan should be changing. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I was going to be like a crazy dog mom with a dog podcast and dog-based business, I would have been like, yeah, right. And also like making a living doing that. Never in a million years, but I think it's like, that's the cool thing about being like a dog mom entrepreneur that I really love. And like for any of our listeners out there who are pet parents who are like, man, if COVID just shook up your life and you're like, I want to be doing something that I love every day. For me, I'm just chasing my heart every day that I go to work, every project that I do. And it's much more fulfilling that way for me. What about you, Tori?
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why, I think it's, you have to be really thoughtful and introspective and look at like what is making me happy, and I can also make money doing. It's an important element of a business, but there's going to be elements of your business that just aren't fulfilling. Like for me, editing my podcast was such a pain in my butt. Like, weeks would go by without.
Editor.
Yeah, exactly. I would have weeks go by with no new episode out because I just didn't feel like getting in it. Like it just wasn't my thing. So I outsourced it to someone who that's their entire business. And then that way I can focus on connecting with people, which is what I like, and talking to people and doing more kind of things that I think are fun, which my editor probably would think are not fun for him.
Terrifying, right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to do that. So it's all about, kind of finding the things that make you happy and outsourcing the other things if you can.
So is that what your new course is on? Like Sylvia mentioned that you have a new course coming out. What is that about?
Yeah, so I actually have a new monthly membership called the Wear Wag Repeat Society for yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's targeted towards my petpreneur audience. So like my podcast listeners, and I do have 3 other online courses. So people who've taken that and love those. This membership is sort of geared towards them. So it's almost like a long-term mini course. So like each month there's a new lesson. So in February, it was all about SEO, and I did a little video and several Q&As throughout the month and provided a lot of extra resources to teach people about SEO and how important that is for your pet industry business website or your blog or whatever it is that you're doing. In other months, we'll focus on storytelling through video or how to write really compelling emails. It's basically all the things that I do all the time in my business and broken down one thing per month.
That's awesome. And this isn't like a secret velvet curtain backroom thing. Yeah, anybody can join.
Yeah, you don't have to go behind like the velvet curtain into the adults only section. You can just go to my website, wearwagrepeat.com, and you can find it through there. There's a tab in the menu for courses, and it's under that.
Amazing.
And
very cool.
Did you launch it already, or is it launching soon?
It actually launched in January.
Oh, cool.
And at the moment, thank you. Yeah, I had 70 people or 74 people or something sign up when I first launched it. And so right now it's on wait list because I don't want new people coming in all the time. It's kind of like disruptive. So we'll open it back up, or I'll open it back up. We is like me and Burt and Lucy, but I'll open it back up.
Well, they have a paw in this.
Yeah. This whole pandemic, I'm like, can they just learn to type? How hard would it be?
Make them earn them kibble monies for real. Oh my gosh. Well, I have an interesting question when we get back that I'm dying to know, and I'm sure our listeners too. Quick break and we'll get right to it. Okay, so we're back. I need to know, Tori, how did you go from dog mom fanatic, like, to this like entrepreneur mogul, basically, because you have like a lot of sectors to your business. So talk to me about like, who was Tori when she was just like Burt and Lucy's mom?
Yeah, well, I was just a young girl with a pink front door, just loving my dogs. And
sounds like a Journey song.
Yeah,
I know.
Small town girl with the pink door. Yeah, that's it.
I'm a Steel Town girl, actually,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Wow.
So there you go. But no, I actually, it's interesting. My old dog Lola, I've always had chocolate labs. My aunt had chocolate labs, and Lola was one of her puppies. So we were just kind of been like a chocolate lab family. And my old dog Lola, I loved her so much. And when I first started Wear Wag Repeat, I started it before I even got Lucy, or like right when Lucy was like about to arrive as a puppy. And so it was just like me posing in my outfit photos with my dog and like doing Pinterest tutorials and having my dog by my side. And what I found was that whenever I was doing outfitty fashion photos, I would get like crickets. Nobody was commenting, and like nothing would happen because it was very saturated. And also, fashion bloggers are not the nicest group of people. So then I found that whenever I was posting about my dogs, there was this whole group of dog bloggers on the internet. And like we say dog blogger now, like, or at least I say it, like it's a normal thing that people know that exists. But back then, like 8 or 9 years ago, people were like, you have a dog blog, you know, and I didn't know that there was other people with dog blogs, and they found my blog and were commenting and connecting, and they were the nicest people and just so helpful and so welcoming, and like showed me the ropes of how to do it all. And then I discovered there was a dog blogging conference called Blog Pause, which doesn't exist anymore, but they had like a 10-year run. And I went to that a couple of years, and that's at that conference and another blogging conference that was not dogs, just regular bloggers. At those conferences is where I realized, oh my God, like people are doing this for a living. There's, you know, I was meeting girls who like, they had these very niche topics they were blogging about, and they were like, oh yeah, I have 14 employees. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, you know, I always joke that it's like a made up job because when we were growing up, this did not exist. So, you know, when you were in school and you're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? This was not a possibility. So it's just kind of, I think it's important. I like to embrace my like inner 6-year-old. You know, if you can act like a 6-year-old as much as possible, I think you'll have a happier life. And so I just try to be like curious and excited about things and learn about things in that way.
I think we all have kind of a similar story on where it just kind of like launched, where we were on the path to do one thing, and then next thing you know, you just got pulled in through this passion and then found
It's
the
the
happiness.
dog vortex. Just like
Because
it sucks you in.
it's the dog people that suck
Yeah.
you in, because dog people are the best people, obviously.
It's true.
And so
There is a level of compassion that people have.
Yeah. And,
that
Yeah.
and camaraderie.
and just helpful. And like if you have a question, dog people are always happy to help you figure out the answer, not like go figure it out yourself. You know, people
Yeah.
in the dog world
Everyone
don't
wants
say
to
that.
give their opinion.
Yeah,
know,
which
what
can
worked
be
for
good and
them.
bad.
It can be good and bad. But you know, everybody has a story. Everybody has an experience. You know, we're all kind of in this microcosm. It's really a new world. This idea of like our dogs as family members is new. You know, 8 or 9 years ago, there weren't dog blogs because there didn't need to be. You know, we were still celebrating dominance training, and training wasn't popularized, and what was popularized wasn't great. And, you know, a lot of people still had backyard dogs and things like that, you know. So I think definitely there's been an overall shift in the way we even view our dogs, which has just changed. But I'll say for me, you know, going into like even the social media communities, specifically as a dog parent, there's just so much more support, and like everybody's just there to kind of give you a hug. It's a different experience of social media than I think the average person is experiencing.
Well, and I think so the other thing, we've been talking about curtains a lot too, but pulling back that curtain and giving people a place to feel comfortable and really celebrate the love that they have for those family members. You know, it's and on the photography side of stuff, we really recognize people were struggling. There's baby showers and baby photos and all of this stuff as being I'm a first time mom, and we're going to have these celebrations. But there was another part of the community that their dogs are their kids, but they're not being treated as such. They're being treated as a almost kid, like, oh, this is your trainer kid. And I think that's one of the things that I love about the dog community so much, is that it is so accepting, and it is so open to really letting people express the love and the emotions that they have for their fur kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my circle of the internet, you know, my world is very like child free by choice. That's my personal lifestyle. So I would never judge someone or say anything, you know, that would make anyone feel bad for not having kids or for having kids. Or, you know, I think people are so quick to judge about, you know, why do you treat your dog like this? Why don't you like have a kid? Well, it's so insensitive because a lot of people can't. They are trying very hard, and they can't. And I just think everyone needs to just be kinder and nicer. And like, you don't know what people are going through, and their dog might be like filling a huge void, or not that it's like a void, but just might be like a huge part of their life. And you know, people just need to stop making other people feel bad for things.
I agree, and I feel like that's something that like in my community of like dog people, I just don't find that. I don't find people like bullying each other for just being compassionate. Because I think at the end of the day, like if you're a pet parent, you have the most patience and the most compassion because you're dealing with an animal who like doesn't understand you, literally.
Right.
Like they do not speak your language.
Yeah, it can be trying, but I mean that's what it's all about, and then still getting that positive reaction back from. Anyways, this is all like super ooey gooey dog parent stuff that I love, but there's more stuff that you kind of get into as well. I think you were talking about like you talk to people about how to grow Instagram followings and doing things like that, and we talked briefly, that's not something that's necessarily just focused on businesses. There's a lot of people out there too that want to be able to, and back to the topic we were just talking about, celebrate that family that they have. Do you have some tips? Like if just as a average stay-at-home mom that's doing this by herself, or stay-at-home dad, like how could they
Dog mom or dog dad?
yeah, how could they
Yeah.
kind of grow their following?
Yeah. So I think the important thing to think about, so I am kind of like a pet Instagram expert, I guess you could say. Just to give everyone a frame of reference, I hate like bragging about this, but my Instagram account, I grew it to over 40,000 followers. So people are always like, how did you do that? And I think the important thing, there's a couple of things. One, you got to kind of like make a decision about what your account is about. So if it's going to be about your dog or your pet, then only post content that includes your dog or your pet in it. So, you know, it's kind of like cliche to say, but like, don't post your breakfast unless you like made breakfast for you and your dog to have breakfast in bed together. That'd be cute. But, you know, you got to get specific about what your account is about and kind of narrow down in on that. I think that's why a lot of people start pet accounts when they're just as pet parents, because they're like, oh, you know, I wanted to create like a separate account just for my dog because people on my other personal account don't want to see all dog photos. They want to see other things. But I would beg to differ. I bet you everyone wants to see all dog photos. No one cares about your vacation. Just show the dog.
I don't care about your pancakes. I just care about his new bow tie.
Yeah. And so you got to get specific and know what your account's about. I also think that a lot of people don't utilize their bio, and this is for just regular people and businesses. You know, when I land on your account, it's like a split second of, am I going to follow you or not follow you? And your bio can kind of be a huge deciding factor in that. So I'd like to know, you know, where you're based. Maybe you don't have to list like specifically. You could be vague if you don't want people to know where you are, which is fine. But, you know, share maybe your dog's name, some kind of personality quirk about them, something that is going to make me say, oh yeah, I really want to follow them. So, you know, if you have some kind of hobby within the dog world, like maybe you love dog outfits, maybe your dog loves bow ties, you've got a bow tie collection, or maybe you're into dock diving, or maybe your dog's epileptic, like my dog. If you say, you know, I have an epileptic chocolate lab, I'm immediately going to follow you. But if you don't put that in your bio, I'm not going to know that we have so much in common and how great your account could be for my interests. So make sure to put something in your bio so that people are like, yeah, I love this. I want to follow this. And then the third thing is also to be just realistic about what you're trying to get out of it. So I see a lot of people when it's just like their dog's account and they're like, I just want so many likes. I just want 1,000,000 likes on my dog's photo. And I'm like, but why? Like, what
What's the
is it
purpose?
going to do for you?
Mm.
So just get clear about that, you know, and if you do just want lots of likes, that's fine. I would recommend in that case that you pick a specific number that you're like, I really want to hit 10,000 followers and I really want to get a photo that gets 1,000 likes, because that gives you something concrete to work towards, and just say, instead of just saying I want lots, because you'll always be disappointed because there's always lots more. So get specific, fix up your bio, and then figure out what you're in it for.
And I
Love
think
that.
paying attention to different platforms too. I mean, I try and keep my ear to the ground on all of this, but at the same time, I'm hearing you talk about some things. I'm like, well, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And
Yeah,
so stuff to
after
fit.
we hang up, you guys are going to be updating your
Yeah.
bios.
But I also know.
Mine refreshes frequently. But on that note,
Oh,
we're
you're
going to
gonna.
take a quick
Oh,
break.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Jason, lead us back
Okay.
in with your question.
Okay. No. It was I guess it's a question too. But as far as the getting lots of likes and if you're looking for that kind of fulfillment, TikTok's been a great place for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny you said that, because like right before the break, I was like, I bet she's going to ask me about TikTok. So that's another great place. You know, I post some stuff on TikTok to varying degrees of success. I haven't really like cracked the code over there at all. But some dogs just like take off. Some dog accounts just take off over there. And the neat thing
True.
about TikTok is it doesn't really matter how many followers you have. That doesn't relate to how many people are going to see your video. So you could have hundreds of thousands of followers, you could have 100 followers, and it might, the algorithm might just like decide to show it to everyone on the planet.
Well, I heard
Yeah.
Gary Vee go on a spiel one day. He's like, "There's nothing ever that you've been able to create a new account, make your first post, and get 1,000,000 views. Like that just doesn't like." And you can do that with TikTok. You can get all of that. So that's we haven't launched one yet, but it's on the to-do list.
Yeah. So with that being said, I did have a video that has almost 1,000,000 views. It has 940,000 views. And I've not had any video since then get remotely close to that. So it is cool and exciting. But it also is just like so unpredictable. And so like, just because I have almost 1,000,000 views on one video, every other one has like 500 views. So, you know, it's just,
But that's still a lot. And I think that
yeah.
we water it down sometimes. We get used to, I mean, our photography one, we're like at 6,500 fans over there, whatever it is. And that doesn't seem like very much. But on the flip side of things, like when you're first getting started, 100 is a lot of people. I heard somebody was doing a stream and they said, like somebody would be like, oh, how do you feel? You only have 30 people following your stream. And he said, well, if I was sitting here and I had 30 people standing in the room with me, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
and that comes back to like, what do you want to get out of it? So like my podcast is very specific. I don't have as many listeners as some other podcasts, but it is doing exactly what I want it to do. You know, it is speaking exactly to the precise audience that I want to reach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to reach everybody. And so it's fine with me. It's more than fine that I have maybe lower numbers than some other shows, because it's doing what I want it to do.
And I think there's a lot to be said. Like, if you're trying to talk to everybody, then you're not talking to anybody.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I think that's what's so cool about what you do. Even as like a blogger, it's like this very specific, you're like, I cater to dog moms who rabidly love their dogs and rabidly love fashion all at the same time. And I know I've seen you have some like really cute like poop bag dispensers and things like that your brand puts out.
Poop, scoop, repeat. It's like the Wear Wag Repeat poop bag.
I've seen that. They're like little, yeah. So I think that, like you said, your brands are doing exactly what you designed them to do. And I think that's why they're so successful.
Thank you.
I didn't know about the poop, scoop, and repeat bags, but I love that.
It's like a poop bag holder, a poop
Yeah.
bag dispenser thingy that clips on your leash.
That's cool.
Yep.
This is like, I love the stories where it just starts out like I was kind of doing this as the side, and that passion just slowly turned into this. And now people are kind of pushing me into this direction and growing and doing. And congrats. I mean, that's super, super cool.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Yeah.
So now let's give you a little bit of space to gush over the dogs that inspired it all. Talk to us about Bert and Lucy just for a little while.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, how much time do you have?
Uh,
As much as you need, we'll cut it up.
Go, girl.
So-
This is you.
So Bert and Lucy are my 2 chocolate labs that I have now. They just turned 9 years old. So they're sexy seniors.
Mm.
And I've had Lucy since she was a puppy. She's from a really responsible breeder in West Virginia, a couple hours south of Pittsburgh. And I know a lot of other people who've gotten dogs from her. She's really into, maintaining the integrity of the Labrador breed. So she's a really great breeder.
Okay.
So Lucy's from there. And then Bert is a rescue. And Bert's story, well, I guess, so I had Lucy and my old dog Lola at the same time. I like having 2 dogs. I love it. But Lola, got to be older and she passed away. And then I had Lucy by herself for about 2 years. And during that 2-year time period, since I do have such a following online and so many Labrador lovers, I would go on Pet Finder, which is a very dangerous activity. Don't do that as a hobby.
Very
I would
dangerous.
go on Pet Finder and I would look for chocolate labs and just share them to get the word out about them, so that other people could find them. And I did this many times without falling for it myself until one day I was on and I saw Bert, and I think he hadn't come up in my other searches because he was just right outside. I think the default mileage radius is like 40 miles, and he was like right outside of that. So he didn't come up in my other searches. And when I clicked on his profile, there was like one blurry photo, and I was like, he looks like he's like probably 100% lab. He looks like just a cool guy. And so I called the shelter and I learned that he'd been in there for over a year.
Wow.
And in his bio, it said special needs. And I was like, what does that mean? What's special? And they said he's epileptic. But they had him on medication and they were managing it. And I was like, well, can I come see him? And they're like, yeah, like he's wide open. He doesn't get very many visitors. Oh my God. It was like the saddest thing. So I came out and met him on my own, and he was like bouncing off the walls, but not like in a bad way. I just feel like I just know labs well enough that I just knew he needed more exercise and maybe different
he was probably
food.
bored.
Yeah, so bored. And it's not their fault. Like they don't have time. How could they possibly exercise all these dogs, especially when he was there for so long? So I just knew he would like be great. And I was like, I have access to so many experts and resources through my blog. I'm like, I can take care of him and his epilepsy will be fine. So I brought Lucy out 2 days later to meet him, and we were like approved on the spot. Their meet and greet went really well. And I was like, they were like, okay, here you go. And I like put him in my car. We all drove home, and I was like, that's crazy. So now it's been the 3 of us for like the last 2.5 years.
Oh my gosh, I love that story.
Yeah.
All right. So Tori Mistik, amazing human, dog mom to the special needs babies of the world, blogger extraordinaire. Tori,
I
it's
feel
been
like
such
we
a
covered
blast.
so many little topics
I
today.
know.
Like, this was fantastic.
Every section was like a little pocket.
We are having you back on because I feel like there's so much more we need to talk about. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our show, which means that we have to entertain Jasen's dog dad joke, as you know, as a listener. So Jasen, as 2 dog mom ladies, we are ready. Lay that joke on us.
All right, how cheesy do you guys want?
Super
like
cheesy?
The most.
Okay.
We just got done talking about an epileptic,
all
adorable
right.
chocolate lab. Like, come on.
Okay, are you ready? What dog keeps the best time? A watchdog. You asked for cheesy.
I mean, I did originally. This is just how my brain is working. I did see a dog wearing a watch, like when you said it, or and then I was like, oh,
I was trying to think of like a Swiss dog.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Ultra cheesy.
It was perfect. I think it was a great way
There we go.
to end our show today. Tori, this was amazing.
Yes, it was so good getting to meet you.
Thank you guys so much. This was really super fun. It was so fun to like be the guest for a change.
You should do it more. You interview great.
You do.
Oh, thank you so much. It's fun.
All right.
All right.
Until
Well,
next time.
Until next time. I want to thank everybody, like always, for joining us on today's podcast and listening to and discussing with Miss Tori and everything that she had to share with us. Like, we were all over the place today, but I felt like it was just like incredible topics at every single turn. And I can't wait to talk to her again.
Cannot wait to have her back.
Yep. Anything that we talked about, like all of her websites and notes and things like that, social media, we will list down in the show comments. And as always, if there's any topics, events, or personalities that you want us to expand onto or add into the show, please make sure that you email us to let us know. Other than that, anything else to say goodbye with today, Sylvia?
No, but if you're not,
make sure you go hit subscribe. Is that what
subscribe?
you're
Thank you.
good at that?
Yeah,
Yes.
hit the subscribe button and do support our friend Tori by checking out her podcast as well, which is Wear Wag Repeat podcast. And again, we'll link that in the show notes.
Wear Wag Repeat. WEAR Wag.
Yeah, because she talks about fashion, and I'm into it. You know,
And business.
and she's awesome. All right, guys. Until next time.
Awesome.